Number one, she's not asking what you think, what are you doing these days? It sounds simple, almost careless. Like she just asked it to keep the conversation going. But pause for a second. Why this question? Why not something else? When a woman asks you, what are you doing these days? She is not asking for your schedule. She is asking for your direction. Now think about it. She could easily say, how are you? She could ask something random, but instead she chooses a question that reveals your life, your movement, your purpose. So what is she really trying to see? Is your life going somewhere, or are you just passing time? And here's where most men make a mistake. They answer it like it's nothing. Nothing much, just chilling, same routine. Sounds normal, right? But think deeper. What does that answer feel like from her side? It feels empty, not because you are doing nothing, but because it shows no direction. No energy, no sense of movement, and attraction doesn't grow in stillness, it grows in direction. Now ask yourself, if someone you're interested in tells you they're just passing time, does that pull you closer or create a silent distance? Because this question is not about information. It's about feeling. She is trying to feel your life through your words. She is trying to understand what kind of space she might enter if she gets closer to you. Is it a life with purpose? Or a life without movement? And here's the deeper part no one tells you: she is also measuring your energy. The way you answer, the way you speak about your life, the way your tone carries meaning, all of it tells her something. Not logically, emotionally. If your words feel alive, she feels curiosity. If your words feel flat, she feels hesitation. Now, here's a question you need to ask yourself when you talk about your life. Do you sound like someone who is building something, or someone who is waiting for something? Because those two energies feel completely different, and women don't just listen to what you say, they feel what you are becoming. Now let's go even deeper. Sometimes she asks this question again in a different way on a different day. Why? Because she is checking consistency. Are you stable in your direction, or were you just saying things in the moment? Because consistency builds trust, and trust builds attraction. Now imagine this: you answer with clarity. Not fake, not exaggerated, but real. You talk about what you are working on, what you are trying to improve, where you are going, even if you're not fully there yet. What happens then? She doesn't just hear your words, she starts seeing your future. And when a woman can see your future, she starts imagining herself in it. That's when a simple question becomes something powerful. Now here's the truth most men miss. She is not expecting perfection. She is not expecting you to have everything figured out. She is only looking for one thing: movement, because movement means growth, and growth creates attraction. So the next time she asks, what are you doing these days? Don't answer like it's a random question. Because it's not. It's a window into your life, your mindset, your direction, and how you answer quietly decides how she sees you. Not just in that moment, but in everything that comes after. Number two, she wants to know if she is the only one. Do you talk to a lot of girls? It sounds casual, almost playful, like she is just asking out of curiosity. But pause for a second. Why this question? Why now? When a woman asks this, she is not collecting information. She is checking her position in your world. Now ask yourself, if she did not care, would she even think about this? This question only comes when interest already exists, because no one worries about competition unless they want something. And here is where it gets deeper. She is not asking how many girls you talk to. She is asking, am I just another one, or am I different? And most men ruin this moment without even realizing. If they try to look cool, they try to show options. They say things like, yeah, I talk to many people, or they joke about it, or they avoid answering clearly. Now think carefully. What does that create? It creates distance, not attraction, because when a woman is starting to like you, she is not looking for competition. She is looking for clarity, not control, not ownership, just emotional security. Now ask yourself honestly. Can someone feel close to you if they feel easily replaceable because attraction does not grow where uniqueness is missing? And this is the hidden layer. She wants to feel chosen without asking to be chosen, so she asks indirectly in a soft way in a question that sounds normal but carries weight. Now think deeper. Why does her tone change when she asks this? Why does she sometimes repeat it in different ways? Because she is trying to read between your words, not just hear your answer. She is watching how you respond, how confident you are, how clear you are, how you make her feel in that moment. Now imagine two answers. One, yeah, I talk to many girls, it is normal. Second, I talk to people, but I give my real attention where it matters. Both answers sound simple, but they create completely different feelings. One makes her feel like an option, the other makes her feel like a choice. And that difference is everything. Now, here is something most men never understand. She is not afraid of other women, she is afraid of not being valued, because when value is clear, competition becomes irrelevant. Now ask yourself, when you talk to her, does she feel like she stands out, or does she feel like she blends in? Because women do not chase attention, they respond to how special that attention feels. And if your attention feels common, her interest will slowly fade, not loudly, not suddenly, but quietly. So the next time she asks, do you talk to a lot of girls, do not treat it like a random question. It is a moment where she is silently asking, do I matter more, or am I just another name in your list? And how you answer will decide whether she moves closer or starts holding back without telling you why. Number 3, she wants to know why you are still available. Why are you still single? It sounds like a normal question, almost like small talk, but stop for a second. Why would she care? If there was no interest, this question would never come, because this is not curiosity, this is evaluation. Now ask yourself, when someone asks you this, are they really asking about your relationship status? Or are they trying to understand your story? Because behind this simple question, there is a deeper thought. What kind of man stays single this long? And here is where it becomes serious. She is not just listening to your answer, she is reading your past through it. Now think carefully. What does your answer say about you? If you blame others, it shows bitterness. If you avoid the question, it shows discomfort. If you joke too much, it shows you are not taking it seriously. And if you answer honestly with calm clarity, it shows maturity. Now ask yourself this: can someone trust your future if your past sounds messy and unresolved? Because this question is not about your past, it is about her future. She is trying to understand, if she steps into your life, what kind of experience will she have? Now think deeper. Why does her tone sometimes feel serious here? Because this is a risk assessment. She is not just attracted, she is thinking, is he emotionally stable? Is he over someone? Is there drama behind him? And she will not ask all of this directly, so she asks one simple question: why are you still single now? Here is the trap most men fall into. They try to impress. They say, I never found someone good enough, or I was focusing on myself, or they create a perfect sounding answer. But something feels off, because forced answers feel empty, and women do not just hear words, they feel truth. Now ask yourself, honestly, does your answer feel real, or does it sound rehearsed? Because real answers create connection, rehearsed answers create distance. Now imagine this: you answer simply without over-explaining, without blaming, without pretending. You say, I have had experiences that taught me a lot, and I chose not to stay where it did not feel right. What does that show? It shows self-respect, clarity, emotional control, and most importantly, it shows you are not carrying unresolved weight. Now here is something deeper. She is not looking for a perfect past. She is looking for a man who understands his past, because understanding creates stability, and stability creates trust. Now ask yourself, when she hears your answer, does she feel safe, or does she feel uncertain? Because attraction may start things, but trust decides if it continues. So the next time she asks, why are you still single, do not treat it like a random question. It is her way of asking, is your past something I can walk into without getting hurt? And your answer will quietly decide whether she feels closer to you or starts stepping back without saying a word. Number 4, she is trying to see if she fits in your world. What kind of girl do you like? Sounds simple, almost like a fun question, but stop for a second. Why does she want to know? If she was not interested, would your preference matter to her? No. This question only comes when she is already thinking about you in a deeper way. Now ask yourself, is she asking about your type, Or is she trying to see herself in your answer? Because this is not about information. This is about comparison. She is quietly placing herself next to the picture you describe. And here is the part. Most men miss every word you say here creates an image in her mind. Now think carefully. If your answer feels too specific, too narrow, too fixed, what happens? She starts thinking I am not that, and the moment she feels that something inside her pulls back, not loudly, not instantly, but slowly. Now ask yourself, why would someone move closer if they feel they do not fit? Because attraction needs possibility. If she cannot see herself in your world, she will not try to enter it. Now here is the deeper layer. She is not just listening to your type, she is feeling your mindset. Are you rigid or open? Are you focused only on appearance, or do you understand depth? Because your answer reveals what you truly value. Now imagine two answers. 1. I like girls who look a certain way and behave a certain way. 2. I respect someone who is real, who understands herself, and brings peace, not confusion. Both sound simple, but they create completely different feelings. One feels like a checklist, the other feels like a connection. Now ask yourself which one allows her to see herself with you, because this question is not about your standards, it is about her chances. Now think deeper. Why does her reaction change based on your answer? Sometimes she becomes more engaged, sometimes more quiet, because in that moment she is deciding something silently. Do I fit here or not? And she will not say it directly. She will just adjust her energy. Now, here is something important. She does not expect you to have no standards. She just wants to feel that she is not excluded before she even tries, because people move towards spaces where they feel accepted, not judged, not filtered out. Now ask yourself honestly, when you describe your ideal, are you creating connection or creating distance? Because one brings her closer, the other pushes her away. So the next time she asks, what kind of girl do you like? Do not answer like it is a random question. It is her quiet way of asking, can I be part of your world? And your answer will decide if she starts imagining a place with you or slowly removes herself from it without telling you why. Number 5. She is trying to see if you have a future or just a moment. Where do you see yourself in the future? Sounds like a serious question, almost like an interview, but pause for a second. Why would she ask this now? If she only wanted a moment, would your future matter to her? No, this question only appears when she is thinking beyond right now. Now ask yourself, is she asking about your plans, or is she trying to understand if there is a place for her in them? Because this is not about goals, this is about direction. She is trying to see, are you moving somewhere or just existing? And here is the part most men ignore. Women do not follow words, they follow direction. If your life feels like it is going somewhere, they feel pulled in. If your life feels uncertain, they feel hesitant, not because they want perfection, but because they need clarity. Now think carefully when you answer this question. What are you really showing? Are you showing vision, or are you showing confusion? Because confusion creates doubt, and doubt creates distance. Now ask yourself this honestly, can someone invest emotionally in you if they cannot see where you are going? Because attraction may start interest, but direction sustains it. Now here is the trap. Most men try to impress here. They start talking big dreams, big plans, big promises, but something feels off because it does not feel grounded, and women can sense that they do not just hear ambition, they feel stability. Now imagine 2 answers. 1. I want to be very successful and achieve a lot of things. 2. I am working towards building something stable and meaningful, and I know it will take time, but I am consistent with it. Both sound positive, but they create different feelings. One feels like talk, the other feels like reality, and reality builds trust. Now think deeper. She is not asking for your future, she is testing your mind. Said, do you think long-term or only in the moment? Do you have patience, or are you chasing quick results? Because your answer tells her what kind of man you are becoming, and people are attracted not just to who you are, but to who you are becoming. Now ask yourself, when she hears you speak about your future, does she feel secure or uncertain? Because that feeling will decide everything. Now here is something most men never realize. She is not expecting you to have everything figured out. She is only looking for one thing, direction with honesty, because direction shows growth and honesty shows maturity, and together they create trust. Now ask yourself this, are you speaking from reality or from what sounds good? Because one creates connection, the other creates doubt. So the next time she asks, where do you see yourself in the future? Do not treat it like a random question. It is her quiet way of asking, are you someone I can build something with, or just someone I will experience and move on from? and your answer will quietly decide whether she starts seeing a future with you or keeps you as just a moment in her present number 6. She is trying to see how much she matters to you. Why didn't you reply earlier? Sounds like a small complaint, maybe even a joke, but stop for a second. Why does this even matter to her? If she did not care, would your reply time affect her? No, this question only comes when your presence already has value in her mind. Now ask yourself, is she really asking about your delay? Or is she reacting to a feeling? Because this is not about time, this is about attention. She is not counting minutes, she is feeling distance. And here is where most men misunderstand everything. They defend, they explain. They say, I was busy, I had work, I was doing something important, and logically it makes sense, but emotionally it does nothing, because she is not asking for a reason, she is asking for reassurance. Now think deeper. When someone matters to you, do you only respond when it is convenient, or do you find a way even in small moments? Because effort is felt, not explained. Now ask yourself honestly, if the roles were reversed and she replied late without care, would you feel it? Of course you would not, because of time, but because of priority. And that is exactly what she is feeling, priority. Now here is the hidden layer. She is testing your consistency. Are you attentive only when you feel like it, or are you stable in your presence? Because inconsistency creates confusion. One day you are fully there, the next day you disappear, and that unpredictability breaks emotional flow. Now ask yourself, can someone feel secure if your attention feels random? Because attraction needs stability, not intensity. For a moment now think about this. Why does her tone sometimes change here, sometimes light, sometimes serious? Because she is holding back what she actually wants to say, which is, I noticed your absence and it affected me. But she will not say it directly, so she wraps it in a simple question. Why didn't you reply earlier? Now here is the mistake most men make. They respond with logic instead of feeling, but logic answers the question, feeling answers the emotion, and she is listening for emotion. Now imagine two responses. One, I was busy, relax. Second, I got caught up, but I did notice your message. I just could not respond properly. I did not want to give you a half reply. Both explain, but only one makes her feel considered, and feeling considered is what builds connection. Now ask yourself, when she feels your presence, does it feel intentional or accidental? Because intentional attention creates value, accidental attention creates doubt. Now here is something deeper. She is not expecting you to be available all the time. She just wants to feel that when you are not there, there is still awareness of her, that she is not forgotten. Now ask yourself this honestly, do your actions show that she matters, or do they only show when it is convenient for you? Because that difference is everything. So the next time she asks, why didn't you reply earlier, do not treat it like a small question. It is her quiet way of asking, do I exist in your mind when I am not in front of you? And your response will decide whether she feels closer to you or slowly starts caring less without telling you. Why number 7. She is trying to see if you feel her absence. Do you miss me? Sounds playful, light, almost like teasing, but stop for a second. Why ask this at all? If she did not care, would your absence matter to her? No. This question only comes when your presence has already created a space inside her. Now ask yourself, is she asking for words, or is she asking for proof of feeling? Because this is not about missing. This is about emotional impact. She is trying to understand, do I stay in your mind when I am not around? And here is where most men fail. They answer casually, yeah, a little, of course, haha, maybe, sounds normal, but feels empty. Because she is not testing your response, she is testing your depth. Now think carefully. If someone truly matters to you, do you feel their absence, or do you just remember them when it is convenient? Because there is a difference. Remembering is mental, missing is emotional, and she is not asking about memory, she is asking about feeling. Now ask yourself honestly, when she is not there, do you feel a shift, a small gap, a difference in your day? Or does everything feel the same? Because your answer reveals that even if you do not say it directly. Now here is the deeper layer. She is looking for reassurance without directly asking for it. She wants to feel that her presence is not replaceable, that when she leaves something changes even slightly. Now think about this. Why does her tone sometimes feel soft here, almost vulnerable? Because this is not an easy question to ask. It carries risk. If your answer feels cold, she pulls back. If your answer feels real, she opens more, and she will not tell you this. She will just adjust her energy. Now imagine two responses. One, yeah, sometimes. Second, when you are not around, it feels quieter, not because something is missing outside, but because your presence changes how things feel. Both answer the question, but only one creates emotion, and emotion is what she is listening for. Now ask yourself, when you express yourself, do you speak from habit or from feeling? Because habit sounds safe, but feeling sounds real, and real is what builds connection. Now here is something deeper. She is not expecting poetry. She is expecting truth, even if it is simple, even if it is not perfect, as long as it is felt. Now ask yourself this: does your presence in her life feel meaningful or just available? Because meaningful presence creates attachment. Availability alone does not. So the next time she asks, do you miss me? Do not treat it like a light question. It is her quiet way of asking, does my absence change anything in you? And your answer will decide whether she feels valued or slowly starts disconnecting without saying a word. Number 8. She is trying to see if you notice her changes. Who was your last relationship? Sounds like normal curiosity, maybe just a casual question, but stop for a second. Why does she want to know this? If she was not emotionally interested, your past would not matter. No, this question appears when she is already placing you in her emotional raid. Now ask yourself, is she asking about your history, or is she trying to understand your patterns? Because this is not about the past, this is about safety. She is trying to read what kind of emotional space you come from, and here is where most men misunderstand everything. They either go too deep or they become vague. They either over-explain every detail or they avoid the question completely, and both create distance. Because she is not looking for a story, she is looking for emotional stability behind the story. Now think carefully. What does your past relationship say about you? Not what happened, but how you handled it. Because she is not judging the person you were with, she is observing the person you became after it. Now ask yourself honestly, do you speak about your past with clarity or with unresolved emotion? Because unresolved emotion leaks even when words don't. Now here is the deeper layer. She is watching for patterns. Are you still attached somewhere? Do you carry emotional weight? Do you repeat the same mistakes? Do you blame or understand? And she will not ask these directly. She will listen between your sentences. Now think about this. Why does her expression sometimes change while you answer, even if she says nothing? Because she is reading energy, not just information. Now imagine two responses. One, it was complicated. We broke up and it was a mess. I don't really like talking about it. Second, it was learning experience. It taught me a lot about myself and what I want, so I don't carry it negatively. Both talk about the past, but only one shows emotional maturity, and emotional maturity creates trust. Now ask yourself, when she hears your past, does she feel clarity or confusion? Because clarity builds comfort and comfort builds attraction. Now here is something most men never realize. She is not afraid of your past. She is afraid of your unresolved past, because unresolved emotions always come back in behavior, in reactions, and patterns. Now ask yourself this honestly, is your past closed or still emotionally active inside you? Because she will feel it even if you don't say it. Now here is the final layer. She is not asking this question randomly. She is asking, if I get close to you, will I have to deal with something still unfinished? And your answer will decide whether she feels safe stepping closer or starts stepping back quietly without explanation. Number 9. She is trying to see if she has power over your attention. What do you think about me? Sounds simple, almost innocent, but stop for a second. Why would someone ask this? If they did not care, your opinion would not matter. No, this question appears when your attention has already become valuable to her. Now ask yourself, is she asking for feedback, or is she asking for emotional reflection? Because this is not about opinion, this is about impact. She is trying to see how much space she takes in your mind, and here is where most men miss everything. They answer too logically, too safe, too neutral. You are nice. You are a good person, nothing special. And they think it is harmless, but emotionally it is empty, because she is not asking to be rated. She is asking to be felt. Now think carefully. Why would someone ask this question at all? Because she is checking her position in your thoughts, not your words, your depth, your attention, your emotional response. Now ask yourself honestly, when you think about her, is it surface level, or does she actually occupy space in your mind? Because she will feel that even without you saying it directly. Now here is the deeper layer. She is not asking, what do you think about me? She is actually asking, do I matter to you beyond conversation? And that is a very different question. Now think about this. Why does her energy sometimes change after your answer? Because She is comparing your words with her expectation. If your answer feels flat, she feels less seen. If your answer feels real, she feels emotionally acknowledged. Now imagine two responses. When you are nice, I like talking to you. Second, honestly, I like your presence. It feels natural talking to you, and I don't feel forced around you. Both are simple, but only one creates emotional weight. An emotional weight creates attachment. Now ask yourself, when she is around you, does she feel noticed or just present? Because being noticed creates value. You being present without impact creates distance. Now here is something deeper. She is not expecting compliments. She is expecting recognition. Not about looks, not about perfection, but about how you experience her. Because people want to feel real in someone's perception, not generic, not casual, real. Now ask yourself this honestly. When you respond to her, are you reacting to the question, or are you revealing your feeling? Because reaction is empty. Feeling creates connection. Now here is the final layer. She is not asking this question randomly. She is trying to understand. If I stop trying, will I still exist in your mind? And your answer will decide whether she feels emotionally significant or slowly becomes just another interaction in your life. Number 10. She is trying to see if you are temporary or permanent in her mind. When are we meeting again? Sounds simple, almost like planning, but stop for a second. Why does she ask this? If there was no interest, she would not care about the next time. No, this question appears when your presence has already started becoming part of her routine thoughts. Now ask yourself, is she planning logistics, or is she trying to secure emotional continuity? Because this is not about meeting, this is about connection, not breaking. She is trying to make sure you do not disappear from her flow. And here is where most men misunderstand everything. They treat it like scheduling. They say, yeah, whenever I am free, maybe next week, I will let you know. Sounds normal, but emotionally it feels uncertain because she is not asking for a date. She is asking for consistency. Now think carefully. Why does she care about next time? If she did not feel something in this time, because she is already emotionally invested, even slightly, even quietly. Now ask yourself honestly, when someone asks to see you again, are they just filling time, or are they trying to continue something they felt? Because continuity is what builds attachment, not one moment, but repeated moments. Now here is the deeper layer. She is not just asking when. She is asking, will this stay or will this fade? And that question is never spoken directly, but it is always felt. Now think about this. Why does her energy sometimes change when you delay? Why does she sometimes become less expressive? Because uncertainty creates emotional distance, not rejection, uncertainty. Now imagine two responses. One, I will tell you when I am free. Second, let's meet again soon. I enjoy talking to you, so let's not let it get too delayed. Both are simple, but only one creates emotional stability, and stability creates comfort. Now ask yourself, when she thinks about you, do you feel like a temporary moment or a consistent presence? Because temporary attention creates curiosity, but consistent presence creates attachment. Now here is something deeper. She is not asking for time. She is asking for reassurance. Without asking for reassurance, that you will not just appear and disappear. Now ask yourself this. Honestly, do your actions create continuity or confusion? Because confusion weakens connection silently, and connection without stability never survives long. So the next time she asks, when are we meeting again, do not treat it like a normal question. It is her quiet way of asking, are you going to stay in my emotional space, or are you just passing through it? And your answer will decide whether she starts investing deeper or slowly prepares herself to let go without even telling you why.